Daniel Hernandez, known by his rap name, Tekashi 6ix9ine, was born on May 8, 1996, in Bushwick, New York. Contrary to popular belief, he was not born with colorful hair. He was, however, born with a 6ix9ine tattoo on his face. True news, you heard it here first. Tekashi's father was Puerto Rican, and his mother was Mexican. I'd be willing to bet he ate a quesadilla or two in his lifetime. I love quesadillas. I had a chicken quesadilla one time that was so good that I jizzed all in my friend Bobby's turquoise sleeping bag. His mom said I was no longer allowed at sleepovers, but fuck that bitch. If she only knew what I did to her quilt that time on Taco Tuesday. I mean, sure, the quilt was passed down to her by her now deceased grandmother, but I had no way of knowing that at the time. His mom should be worried about how Bobby tried to touch my prick that time in the swimming pool at Jason's house. Don't worry about where I jizz. Speaking of jizz, Tekashi's Puerto Rican dad dropped a load of it in the belly of his Mexican mom, and out came little Dan Hernandez on May the 8th, of whatever year I said earlier. Not much is known about Tekashi's life as a toddler, but one could only assume that it was filled with readings of Spanish baby books and tons of Speedy Gonzales cartoons. Speedy Gonzales was super badass. He'd just drop little quick one-liners and run away fast as shit. He was the fastest mouse in the West. He'd blow the doors off of that mouse from Tom and Jerry. Tekashi attended elementary school at Public School 59, in Brooklyn, New York, where he excelled. During recess, he would often play soccer with his friends, who after a while, noticed he was much better than everyone else. So much better, that by the time he was 13, and attending middle school at Juan Morel Campos Secondary School, he was offered a chance to play on a Major League Soccer team. His mother would end up turning down the offer, because she didn't trust a stranger taking her son away at such a young age. It makes sense, because why would you trust a Major League Soccer coach when you can keep him in the Bushwick projects? Smart. Through a lot of his childhood, Tekashi's father had a heroin addiction and ended up serving 5 years in prison for selling drugs, so all Tekashi had at the time was Señorita Tekashi. While his father was in prison, his mother ended up linking up with another gentleman, who became Tekashi's stepfather. Unfortunately, in 2010, his stepfather was shot and killed right outside of the family home. Due to the death of his stepfather, an emotionally disturbed Tekashi went days without eating or bathing, which sounds awful. Especially for his mother, who had to deal with the death of her man, and now her stinky son. He was eventually hospitalized and given therapy for depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. This would eventually cause him to act out in school, to the point where he was expelled during his 8th grade year. He would return to school at a later date, only to drop out during his 10th grade year. I mean, who needs school anyway? Teachers tried to teach me stuff and I was just like, fuck that shit, ain't nobody got time for that. Tekashi then decided to take his talents elsewhere, and worked various jobs as a busboy and even a delivery boy at a local grocery store. That's much better than school. Eat shit, Mrs. Crabtree. While working at a local bodega, Tekashi began selling drugs. Specifically weed and heroin, to help rake in a little extra cash for Mama Tekashi. He would eventually be arrested for his criminal tomfoolery and sent to serve time at Rikers Island, one of the toughest prisons in America. It was here, where Tekashi met some 9 Trey gangster bloods and decided he would boss up. Gang gang gang. Yet another smart move by the soon-to-be famous rapper. Anytime you get a chance to commit crimes with a group of other gentlemen, why not do just that? He learned well. Shortly after his Rikers stint, he began rapping, but was pretty unsuccessful at the time. On October 29, 2015, when he was 18, Tekashi conceived his first child. Yet another smart move by this young gentleman. I'll tell ya, it was just one smart move after another with this guy. But unfortunately, during that same year, Tekashi would plead guilty to the use of a child in a sexual performance and received 4 years of probation. During this time, Tekashi continued his then failing music career, all while still rockin' with the gang, doing gang-like shit. You know, slingin' weight and tossin' iron and so forth. It was during 2017 that Tekashi's music would start to smash the streets. In April of that year, Tekashi, alongside another rapper, Trippie Redd, would release a song called Pols 1469. This didn't really set the streets on fire, however. It was more like lighting a candle in the streets. It was Trippie Redd who lit the candle, but still, Tekashi was holding it in his tattooed hands. On November 10, 2017, Tekashi dropped that lit candle in a puddle of gasoline and the streets would burn for years to come. That day, he released the single, Gummo. He would go on to drop cool phrases in the song, such as, niggas envy blicky with the stiffy got the blicky drum it hold fitty People do be envying a young gentleman, which would then cause said gentleman to carry a blicky. He's right. I'm in the hood with them Billy niggas and them Hoover niggas, he would say shortly after. That video was gangster as shit. He brought out the whole hood for that banger. I do wonder though, where he found all those guys named Billy. It must be a popular name in Bushwick. Regardless, the red flags were flying and the colorful teeth were shining for that one. One of Tekashi's next fire tracks was a song called Cooter, named after his homeboy Cooter B, who could dance like a motherfucker. That motherfucker could absolutely throw down on the dance floor like it was nobody's business. Cooter B was seen in a few of Tekashi's videos, pop lockin' with the homies. He was a top-notch pop locker, and I can only assume he still is. Shout out to that boy Cooter B. Tekashi would continue his musical success by dropping numerous tracks that made the Billboard charts. Things couldn't be going better for him at this point. That is, until, around July of 2018, when things started to take a turn for the rapper. On July 22, 2018, Tekashi was kidnapped, beaten and robbed, by who he would later say, were people from his gang. It all happened during the early morning hours, after Tekashi finished filming a music video with rapper Nicki Minaj. After returning home, the assailants pistol-whipped him, threw him into an SUV, and eventually took $750,000 worth of jewelry, and about $35,000 in cash. His former friend, Anthony Ellison, who was known as Harv, was eventually found guilty for this kidnapping and assault, on October 3 of 2018, after Tekashi escaped, and eventually told the police. I wonder if Tekashi's mom regretted not sending him to that soccer team. After all, I'm not quite sure they would have kidnapped him there, but you never know, I guess. Anyway, on November 18, 2018, Tekashi, his manager, Shotty, who was a buck-wild young gentleman, and 3 other 9 Trey associates were arrested. Tekashi was initially charged with federal RICO and firearms charges, including conspiracy to murder and armed robbery. At this time, he was facing up to life in prison. As many of you probably already know, Tekashi went on to snitch on the whole gang. He wasn't about to sit up in that cell for no life. Nope, not little Dan Hernandez. I imagine his colorful hair would have looked like delicious ice cream to the gentleman in the prison yard. Tekashi's ice cream hair would have brought all the boys to the yard, if you will. He could have been the Fergie of the cell block. I think Fergie did that milkshake song, but I really don't know. It was one of those mediocre white ladies. Anyway, on December 18th, Tekashi was sentenced to 2 years in prison. During his sentencing, when he noticed his father had shown up to court to see him, Tekashi broke down in tears. He hadn't seen his father since he was 9 years old. So let me get this straight, you haven't seen your son for 20 years, you find out he's now a millionaire, and you figure now is the time to reconcile your differences. Great. Sounds like an excellent father to me. I can only hope to be that great of a dad to my kids. Alright, let's fast forward a little, to Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. It was on this day that Tekashi's lawyer confirmed that he would be released from prison and into home confinement. He would stay in home confinement until August 1st, when Tekashi would officially become a free man. Since becoming free, Tekashi has started several feuds, and attempted to stir up beefs with numerous rappers. From Meek Mill, to 50 Cent, to Future, to Lil Durk. Tekashi has yet to find his way back to the top of the rap game, where he once was, but that little joker is trying his ass off. It's clear, even to this day, that he will go after anyone and everyone to get a little shine. Let's all wish this colorful gentleman the best. I'm not quite sure how I feel about all the things he has done, but one thing is for sure, the kid knows how to stand out from the rest. After all, he's been doing that since he was a young Tekashi. Well, that just about does it. I hope you guys enjoyed the first of many tip documentaries. I have a few more things in the works, so stay tuned. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel for the latest news. Until next time. Tip out.